Greetings to you all. It is I, the Bearded Beerman, and I think I've got something pretty fascinating and a lot of fun for y'all out there. Typically, I do beer, but I had a fantastic opportunity to go out to a local distillery and get a tour and also get to do some tasting. Wonderful time I had out there. And I want to thank Greg for taking time to give us a tour and playing bartender for us and pouring us some delicious drinks. As you can see, I bought myself a couple bottles to bring home to share with some other people. So, we've got two parts for you here. The first part that you're about to see is the tour. So, pull yourself up a glass. Actually, get yourself a glass. Pull up a chair. Pour yourself something delicious. And come with me on a fantastic adventure. Oh, the nose is incredible. And the taste is only better. Take it away.
Other than that, you've got what you're looking at over here is a really expensive water heater. Our bottling table and labeling table, this is kind of like our all-in-one table. So
very nice.
We don't have necessarily a bottling line because we do everything with corks and we do everything in such small batches that 2 or 3 people can bottle up a pallet or two in no time flat just with our hands.
Very nice.
So like when we say we're a small batch, we're not joking. Yeah, we're a small batch. Behind, you see over there, tank 11. You've got our it's a 500-gallon mash tun that actually makes what goes into the fermenters. So 3, 11, and 4 is actually our fermenters. Everything in here moves or rolls so that we can, use all the space effectively, but at the same time get the job done. So that's why a lot of things are just on wheels. So those are our fermenters, and we do 160-gallon batches in those fermenters. That's 160 gallons still, or side mount fractionating column still, if you want to get all scientific about it. But it distills up to 160 gallons at a time.
Wow.
And so that gets us, depending on what it is we're distilling, like say a bourbon. So we can put 160 gallons of bourbon in there, and it gets us about 1 plus some extra, but 1 13-gallon barrel is what comes out of 160 gallons.
Oh, wow.
Of product, yeah. So, yeah, once you distill it down, you get all the alcohol out, you strip it, and then you do the spirit run, you get everything done and collected, it's 1 barrel. But the amount of money that's in a 13-gallon barrel is enough to actually buy the next batch, pay for labor, and maybe a little bit of profits. Like, we're not profit heavy right now.
Right.
It's just no. That's what we're doing. So what you're looking at over here is this is like I said before, this is a 160-gallon side mount fractionating sieve plate still, which means each one of the plates. I'll back up just 1 second. So inside of those little windows, little sight glasses, inside and just below each window is a little perforated plate. And each plate acts as a theoretical, full and separate pot distillation. That becomes important when you're making or distilling vodka or anything you need to rectify, meaning if I'm going to start with a 30% beer or wash and I need to bring it up to another level, a higher level of alcohol, that's rectifying it up to another level of alcohol. Yeah. So, or rectifying also means going down. But here, we're talking about, we're going up. We're always going up. So, the pot, when it boils, say 30%, I'll give you some theoretical numbers, but not real numbers, but to give you an idea. So if you're in the pot, like let's say with a 30% beer, and the beer will boil off in the pot and it'll jump, in one distillation it'll jump up to 60%. So what happens is it hits that pipe right around 60%, and then we'll direct it down, let's say, to the vodka column. And it'll go into the vodka column, it will hit that first plate, and to get rid of all the process, but it'll hit that first plate, turn back into a liquid, boil, and then those vapors will jump up to the next plate, turn back into a liquid, boil, jump up to the next plate. So every plate, as it turns into a liquid, reboils, vaporizes, and goes up to the next plate, and the next plate, and the next plate, it goes up higher and higher and higher in alcohol. The reason vodka columns are so tall is because vodka, in order to be called vodka, has to leave the still at 190 proof or better.
Oh, okay.
So vodka can't be vodka unless it does that. And this still will produce right around 191 proof when it comes out of the still. And of course we water it back to bottling strength, and then in the bottles, of course. But it has to leave the still 190 proof or better to be called vodka. Now the thing about all the plates is that as you go higher in proof, it takes more distillations to actually achieve that. So it might leave the pot at 60, hit the first plate at 60, jump up to the next plate at 75, jump up to the next plate at 82, but then after that it starts going 84, 86, 88, 88.3, 88.8. So you need all those plates to start fractionating it down or distilling it down to the point where it leaves at 190 proof or better.
Wow.
So that's why you see so many plates in a vodka column. The shorter column is where we make our gin. Although we don't need to rectify the gin, I did put 6 plates in it just in case I do need to rectify something, and then set it for the gin column. So we'll use the gin, we'll send the spirit straight through, and then the tiny little copper pot you see at the top there is where we put all the juniper and the coriander and everything else that we use to put the gin. So it's vapor infused and or what's called distilled. There's 3 ways to make gin. You can macerate, you can compound, or you can vapor infuse or distilled. So maceration is where you put the neutral spirit into the pot, and then you put your botanicals in there and boil it with the botanicals in it. Or you can vapor infuse, which is what we do, which kind of gives it a slightly oily, more of an oily, fragrant, very full flavored gin. It's a personal opinion. And then there's compounding, where you take the neutral spirit and then you mix it with, say, essence of juniper, and then you mix it up. No distillation needed for compound. So we're actually a vapor infused gin. There's a lot of places that do it like that. There's a lot of places that do it with maceration. And then most of your lower priced gins are compound.
I know when I was in last with my father, and he is not a gin person and has never been. And I kind of tricked him into trying it.
Yeah.
And he said this was the first gin he's ever tried that he really liked.
Oh, I
and would
appreciate that.
actually spend money on it.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
I love to actually know why that reason. I can go back and tell him what the process is that's different and why he likes it better.
There's a lot of other gins like ours. I can't say them on camera, but there's a lot of gins like ours that are vapor infused, and then that, and combined with our recipe that we put into the basket, is what gives it such a full and robust flavor. Really, in the end, is what does it. The amount of juniper, coriander, we do use also some grains of paradise, anise, lemon and lime peel, angelica, like all the really good stuff that you'd find in gin. There's 8 botanicals in our gin, so we're just 2 botanicals short of being a fine gin, meaning you'd have 10 or more botanicals in it. But I stopped at 8 because when I developed the recipe for this particular gin, I wanted a gin that said, I'm a gin, but you don't necessarily need to put me in a mixer, you know. So you can drink our gin straight, even over the rocks, and it's still a really good gin. And so we get that a lot, where people kind of go, I love your gin just straight. I'm like, oh, well now you got to try the vodka, because the vodka is great straight too.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, show that just opened. That's JJ Pfister.
Yes.
So, and they have a really nice setup. They have theirs professionally built. This was done in my garage.
Really?
Yeah, no, I built this.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, this is all homemade. Like all the copper on the inside, the outside, everything you see here, we designed and built in my garage. And then we moved to here when we got ready to open, and then put it up.
Wow.
So yeah, it's about as hometown local as you get in that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's art.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely art.
There you go. Yeah, and one of the reasons I went with a seed plate. So inside, like I was saying before, inside each one of the plates is a seed plate. So a little plate with holes in it. A lot of stills are made with what's called bubble caps. And bubble caps do the same thing, but you need to put in like these little valves that go all the way up so you can actually rinse it out, clean it. When I turn this still off, everything just kind of drains back in the pot and I'm done. And the turn down ratio is quite a bit faster, meaning the efficiency and how fast it rectifies is faster in a seed plate still than it is a bubble cap. So yeah, bubble caps always hold a little bit on each plate, so you've got to rinse it out, you know, in between batches. This one, I can shut it down, everything drains back from the plates. I can rinse it down if I want. I clean it up maybe 2 or 3 times a year with some caustics just to kind of scrub up the inside. And then beyond that, it just works. And these are 8-inch columns, which are perfect for us in a startup distillery. Eventually, we'll grow and we'll go up to 8 or 16-inch columns, which will double or triple how fast we can actually make a product. So, for instance, this is an 8-inch column, and it produces, say, vodka right around 3 gallons an hour. To go from 8-inch to 12-inch, we'll be able to produce vodka right around 8 to 10 gallons an hour. 16-inch, you know, exponentially it goes up. So, but when I first built it, I had to buy the copper pipe, which was only supplied the area at 8 inches. So I wanted to go bigger, but I didn't know anybody who's rolled copper or did stuff like this. So we had to get the copper. I had the holes machined out for me, and then I did all the copper on the inside. Had some help doing the outside, you know, putting in the welding in the sight glasses because it's stainless steel, and stainless steel to copper is very hard to do. So, so I had to find a very specialized person to do that for me. But I brazed in all the copper plates on the inside, and then brought it in here. Had a friend of mine, Steve Habestad, who does a lot of work with breweries in the area and outside of the area. But he's a freelance welder who's really good at process piping. And we connected along the beginning of my journey, and he came in and helped me finish it up. So if you're looking for a welder, Steve Habestad, go find him. Especially if you're setting up a brewery or a distillery. So yeah, so from here we make the product here, and then we move it over where we'll water it back to bottling strength and mix it back. We have a little reverse osmosis water maker over there that we fill up our tanks with, and the spirit goes into those tanks, and then we'll let it rest for a day or two depending on what it is we're making. And then from there we'll run it through a filter loop, especially if it's vodka. Everything else is just filtered once. We'll run it through a polished filter so it's nice and crystal when it goes in the bottles. And we run it right across to our bottler over here to the table, and then into the racks, and then either into the tasting room or off to our distributor.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So after about a year, we'll pop the barrels and start seeing what it's tasting like. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes we have to stop when we're doing it barreling right now. So if If you let it go too long in the barrel, you start getting off flavors, or you start eliminating the actual, the essence of what the actual spirit is. So you have to, barrels they're always kind of tough, but the year mark is about where 13-gallon, whatever's in a 13-gallon barrel has got to start. You got to start checking it regularly, almost weekly.
Wow.
Especially here in Sacramento. In Sacramento County, it's nice, especially in the spring and through the summer. But the spring and fall is really good because the heat to cold fluctuations help smaller barrels like this breathe really fast. So because all of your color and about 80% of the flavor that you have in your brown spirits comes from the barrel. And the way you get that, and maybe I'm preaching to the choir, I don't know, but the way you get that is all the spirits go into the barrel clear, and the heat causes the spirit to expand and push into the staves, and the cold causes everything to retract back into the barrel. And it's that kind of breathing that picks up the flavor and the caramel from the barrels and also its color. And when you've got those high temperature swings, especially here in Sacramento in the spring and fall, where it'll go from 92 down to 56, sometimes 56 at night for 8 hours, and it's 92 for 6 or 7 hours. And those kinds of temperature fluctuations really acts on the barrels nicely, especially the small ones. And things tend to age quite a bit faster here. Yeah, so it's for the smaller barrels, anywhere from 13 to say even 30 gallons, you're going to age a lot faster than you will with the larger barrels with those temperature fluctuations. It does really nicely. In fact, you can see right here what a solid temperature fluctuation will do, where it'll expand that spirit and push into the staves, and then it'll crack some of our barrels. It won't crack all the way through, but I mean, it's about as close to a failed barrel as you can get, with the temperatures. So not all of them do that, but you can see that the spirit in the barrel is working hard, and so that's good for us. It gives us nice colored, nice brown, full flavored spirits, and that's important for us. It's also important for our consumers.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this first part as much as I did. Walking through the distillery, seeing where the magic happens was just fascinating. And learning about how the equipment works. What I could show you was only a fraction of what was going on there. If I had to show the whole thing, we'd be here all night. And for me, I would enjoy that. But for you, I just wanted to wet your whistle. So, I hope you will come back and check out the second part of the tasting room. Cheers!